waiting on a text anyway. Let's see. Oh, there you go. Yeah. Close. No wonder my leg is so hot.
Battery goes dead now.
Hi, Paul.
So I think you're waiting for
Okay.
is, I don't know. Oh, 9 is here. I think we're waiting for C4. You're waiting for channel 4.
How old is the person in the back of the suit?
Are you coming to see me?
Facebook groups for some reason. Yeah, my friends are Jackson she's in the 12th skeleton group. Just pretty stories. Only so many times you can count the Christmas.
What? Yeah.
All those guys. We can do it again if you. Well, I hate to do it again.
Yeah. I was going to tell you too. I did a oops, even though Liz and I were both there. We didn't, when I read it back to you about the marked versus unmarked, we didn't catch it, but I sent them a correction. All it said it was marked copy. But despite the fact that we read it over and over again, and you said switch it, we missed it. You were short of me. A buck short.
That would be a good one to put.
Yeah.
Be right back. Is that them?
Yeah, and this could be him, yeah.
All right.
You see him running.
to see you.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's good seeing you.
Thanks for holding off for me.
Oh,
I really appreciate it.
When he gets here, let's all say, start picking up your stuff.
Right? Jeff, I remember the day you told me about Georgia boys when they were in
Oh,
the
yeah.
house. That was
still
the
going over there?
recommendation. Yeah. Yeah. It was fantastic.
They moved across the street now.
Yeah, I have. It's really nice.
The old Georgia Boys is now a taco place, and it's really good too.
Oh, is that right?
Best tacos.
Really?
What?
It's gotta be the best tacos.
I have not been to that.
I like Lapando. I got a couple favorites.
It's hard to pick, man.
Yeah, there's so many good. Yeah.
I still need to hit tacos GTS brick and mortar.
Oh, okay. I like Lapando down on Big Crab. One meal a dog days I just go to it.
Oh yeah. They just made like 120. They can be
Yeah.
on
Yeah. Oh, you got so many good.
Yeah, I know.
The blue taco.
Tacos.
You got so many good.
I mean, Benny's if there is like Benny's reminds me of the spots in back.
Yeah, I know. Right?
Yeah, I like
I drove like an idiot getting here, so.
Sure, that's not true.
No, not at all. Yeah, I would never do that in a news vehicle.
My wife and I waited 45 minutes to pick up and bring us water. Samples.
They have such good food.
Yeah. Like flavor of any other there.
I know, it's always hotter up there.
Is there someone, hey Robin, is there someone else out there? Is there someone else out there? Oh.
The right shoulder. Yeah, I could follow those articulations.
Are you gonna pass the book to artists?
Yeah. He's up in the ceiling.
Hey, Bill, how are you? Thank you, sir. Yes. Hey, can you send out an announcement over the PA? This is going over. I appreciate it. Longmont Presser. Thank you, sir. Okay, talk to you soon. Bye.
Sorry, one more second.
All right.
Byron, how's it going? How you been? Good. You been riding at all?
No.
You still on like a lighter duty
I went
kind
to
of?
Moab for a week and held up really well.
Oh, good. We should do something local before the snow
I'm
flies.
riding while I work on bikes. Like 20 hours a week in my garage.
On your 20 bikes?
Probably 25. They built a beautiful headset press today.
Oh, cool. Dude, I'm gonna ride Saturday with Eric up on Marshall by the Springville Trail if you wanna come out.
You ready? All right. Good afternoon. I'm Jeff Satter. I'm with the Longmont Police Services. I'm the Deputy Chief of Police Services. So I'm here today after a very, very tragic crash at 9th and Pace this morning around 10:48. We had some undercover officers working out on 9th Avenue, discovered a stolen vehicle. They called in some marked units to attempt a traffic stop. The officers initiated a traffic stop just to the west of Lashley Street on 9th Avenue, and the suspect fled at a high rate of speed. Our officers immediately disengaged. We pulled some of their AVL records and know that they stopped or at least slowed down to approximately 3 miles an hour at Lashley. And they called out that they had stopped the pursuit or stopped the traffic stop and the suspect continued to flee at a very high rate of speed and entered the intersection at 9th and Pace Street and ran broadside into the the passenger side door of our deceased victim. The victim's 93 years old. He was traveling southbound on Pace Street. His car rolled over. He sustained a substantial impact to the side of his car. And as a result, there was another car going northbound. That car also sustained significant damage. Those two passengers went to the hospital. The deceased, unfortunately, remains at the scene. The driver of the stolen vehicle has been arrested. His passenger was taken to the hospital also. We're in contact with them, and we're about three hours into the investigation, and we still have a lot of work to do. Right now, we have Longmont Police Services, our traffic unit, our patrol division, some detectives at the scene. We have the Colorado State Patrol assisting with the investigation. I'm sorry, and I just forgot their name. Let me make sure I get it right. Their vehicular crimes unit is on scene. They specialize in serious car crashes. We're welcoming their participation. Our DA's office is also on scene. We also have investigators from the Colorado State Patrol and the Colorado District Attorney's Office. They're here at the station doing interviews with officers, and then the Boulder County Coroner's Office is also on scene. One thing that we just want to be clear on is that our officers disengaged from this traffic stop, and the suspect initiated all these actions. That's why we brought in third-party investigators to interview the officers that were involved and to help with the crime scene and the reconstruction. It is a significant crash. I could say that at a minimum, the driver is looking at vehicular homicide because of his reckless behavior. We are also exploring whether or not alcohol or drugs were involved. We've done a search warrant for the blood, and we're doing that right now at the hospital. And then with our DA's office, we're considering first-degree murder under the extreme indifference. We have charged that before in cases similar to this. And essentially, I would liken it to firing a gun through an intersection. It's extremely dangerous, and that's what this person did today. When you elude the police in a stolen car, this is the outcome sometimes. We do not pursue in those cases. We don't pursue stolen cars. But this is one of the tragedies that can happen when suspects who are operating stolen cars flee at high rates of speed. And in this case, he fired a large projectile through an intersection, and unfortunately this 93-year-old man lost his life today. And this should not have happened. And it's very unfortunate for this man's family, and it's very unfortunate for the other two people in the car. All the people involved are Longmont residents, and we'll release names as we progress. Right now, we got to make notifications to the victim's family and take care of those. But I do have the ages if you need other information. So the driver of the stolen vehicle is 37 years old. His passenger was a 36-year-old female. The driver of the SUV, I already told you, was 93 years old. He was the lone occupant of that vehicle. And then we had a Subaru involved at the scene also. The driver of that vehicle was 62 years old. He's a Lyft or Uber driver, and he had a passenger in the back seat, and that person was 19 years old. They all went to the hospital, and I don't have an update on their injuries, but they were injured in the crash. It was a violent crash.
Was the suspect driver transported?
Yes.
You said, I think it was ABP report? I forget what you called it.
AVL, the vehicle locator that uses GPS to track speeds in the cars. So our vehicle locator devices.
And what is that? What do you guys look at when you're looking at
It shows speeds, it shows when the lights were on and braking. I'm not sure if it shows braking, but it shows some of the particulars of how fast the car was going and those kind of things.
that? And that way you're able to confirm that the pursuit had not been initiated? Or
Yes, and we also have confirmation from a number of witnesses on scene that witnessed the crash. There were no police cars around. The first car on scene actually came from a different direction.
How many marked units were called in originally?
There were 2 marked units, and Matt did ask me earlier if they were fully marked units. So we have some marked units with subdue markings. These were fully marked units, light, siren, white police car. So they brought in 2. The detectives were together in a unmarked unit that does have lights. I don't have information if their lights were on, but the marked units attempted to traffic stop.
The actual vehicle theft, how did that go down, and do we know much about that?
So the detectives that were working up in that area saw the vehicle, they listed the plate, and it came back stolen. It's I can give you the years. It's a Toyota Tacoma pickup, a 2014. It's all white. The victim of the deceased driver, he was driving a 2008 Hyundai Santa Fe, and then the Lyft driver or Uber driver was driving a 2016 Subaru Impreza.
About how far from the stop to the crash? Like, do you know about how far
It's
it
about
is?
1 mile. So Lashley and Pace, all our streets are kind of gridded off. So from Lashley to Pace is about 1 mile. And then they were a little west of the location when they attempted to traffic stop. There's a bowling alley up there if you're familiar with that area. So it was somewhere around the bowling alley where they stopped the pursuit and slowed down for the light.
You mentioned a passenger in the suspect's car.
Right.
Was that someone that's connected to the suspect at all, or?
Yeah, there's some sort of connection, and we will be figuring out that connection and whether or not there will be any charges for that person too. As we're literally very early in this investigation, with our district attorney who happens to be walking up right now, we will work with the state patrol, district attorney, and we will finalize all this within the next couple weeks. We will be probably making an arrest depending on how quickly the driver is released from the hospital. That may come today, it may come tomorrow. But we are with him, he's in custody, and we have officers with him right now.
Do you have any idea how fast he was traveling?
We don't have the speeds. I've heard they were very high from witnesses on scene, but I don't want to speculate. Based on the amount of damage to the victim's car, it was high. It was very, very high. But we'll do all the data downloads from the cars, from the readers in the cars, and get all that information. That's all part of our investigation. We'll do mechanical inspections. As you know from being involved in probably fatal crashes over the years, there is just a ton of work that still needs to be done, and that will take place over the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Can you recap the possible charges that the suspect is facing?
So right now, at a minimum, we have vehicular homicide. If you drive recklessly and cause a death, we have that. And then we have the possibility, which will be based on speeds, that first degree murder under the extreme indifference. Again, kind of likening it back to firing a gun through an intersection. Those are things that we'll work very closely with our DA's office on. There could be some other vehicle charges. I don't know the person's driving status and things like that. So there could be a litany of charges that come from this incident, and it could have been avoided. It could have been avoided very easily by this suspect.
Anything else?
You know, we've updated our pursuit policy this year. I think it was this year. I think we have a very sound pursuit policy, and this is, you know, this is the hazard of, we've had a lot of cars elude from us. We're not pursuing stolen cars because this is the tragedy that can result in a pursuit, and we were not pursuing in this case. But I think the citizens and our community expects us to at least attempt to contact. You just don't let people drive around in stolen cars. They expect us to make an arrest, do investigations, things like that. So I think we have a very sound pursuit policy. And our officers did, from all the information I have, our officers did exactly what we want them to do. They attempted to stop. The suspect did not stop, and they disengaged. And a mile later, unfortunately, somebody was killed. And if you go back to that scene, you can see from Lashley, it goes up a hill, and you can't really even see the intersection from parts of Lashley, or I'm sorry, parts of 9th Avenue.
Are police seeking any information from the public, or is there anything the public can do to help?
Right now, we're doing the door-to-door, trying to find video cameras and things like that. So I would always throw out, if you have video that you have from a camera at that location, I would ask them to reach out and contact Longmont Police Department at 303-651-8501.
Anything else?
Anybody else?
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tell them to sit tight.
One moment, and then we'll get the other one.